welcome to the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is that co-host on a half shell, Kyle JCRB Krause.
Cowabunga, dude.
Yeah.
More like cow bleeping piece of dog bleep. Can I say those things? Can I say those things on this show? Is that allowed?
Such language, Kyleson.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm just quoting. I'm just quoting somebody. I'm just quoting the angriest gamer you've ever heard.
I will take your word for it.
I am.
So why are you quoting him? Are you okay? How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. I'm very tired. It has been one exhausting time. This time that we are in. It's very exhausting.
No.
How is your time? Is your time also very exhausting?
In its own special ways, but I'm trying to keep busy, and that's all you can do. And one of the things that we're keeping busy with is the BumbleKast. Yay! Upbeat show, everybody happy, super fun time, smiles.
This in fact does keep us very busy. We do like doing it though. It's fun.
Now, before we dive headfirst into today's topic, we have the Bumble Raffle Winner. If you want your very own mystery prize from the BumbleKast, you can write into BumbleKast@yahoo.com for whichever episode you want to be put into the drawing, or be a patron over at patreon.com/BumbleKast, and you'll be automatically entered into every single drawing. Everyone has the same chance. It's just the patrons get the little extra bonus. So, Kyle, this week's winner is
DragonSuperFan.
Not just your average fan, but a super fan.
Yeah, a DragonSuperFan, man.
It's just like 2 steps above Griffin. Like, Hippogriff, don't even talk about it. No, DragonSuperFan.
DragonSuperFan. Nice. Congratulations. Enjoy your things. Or your thing. You're going to get one thing. You're not going to get multiple things. I'm sorry to say. The Bumble Raffle does not give away multiple things to the same person in one raffle. So, sorry, you only get one thing. But it's a cool thing, so I hope you like it.
We'll be in touch. We'll let you know what it is.
Yes.
So, as you might have guessed at the intro, we're going to be talking about them Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Again!
And most specifically, the newest incarnation, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the new animated series over on Nickelodeon.
I didn't even know this was a thing, Ian.
I'm surprised, because there was a bit of a hubbub when they released the art and the synopsis and the toys and all that jazz.
You think I keep up with what's going on the internet?
But Kyle, people have opinions.
The internet.
About the cartoons they grow up with.
This internet, man. I don't have time for the internet. What do you think I am? I don't have time to deal with these people on the internet.
But did you have time to actually watch the show any?
I actually did, yes. I watched. I only had the chance to watch the first episode, but okay. I did watch it, yes.
I think that's a good metric for what the series is going to be. I've seen the first 4 episodes. If there's anything more, I don't know, because I'm up here in Canada, and the stuff that's shown in the States and when it gets up here is just wonky. I just kind of catch can. So
I feel like I got a good idea of the show's overall feel. So
yeah. And that first episode, I think, is a really, really strong pilot, because it sets the tone, it sets the level of quality, and it very clearly defines who the Turtles are in this incarnation. And it's not like some other series where you get the first beats and it's, all right, this is what like the first draft of the series Bible was like, and it's obviously evolved since then. This is pretty much solid straight out of the gate, at least as far as I've seen.
Mm-hmm. It definitely feels like it's not like another origin story or like toward the beginning. Even though I think it is, I think it kind of is supposed to be early on in the Turtles' career.
Yeah.
It's pretty clearly, there's at least been some time where they've been out and about. It's not like, it's another origin of the Ninja Turtles. It's like, okay, they're already Ninja Turtles. They're already doing things. They're already out in the streets of New York. They're already fighting. So it's it establishes them as being active already, which I think works because, we've kind of seen the Ninja Turtles origin 100 million times because, I mean, they're superheroes created in the 80s. Of course, we've seen their origins 100 million times. That's how these things.
Multiple comic books, multiple animated series,
and multiple films. It's like, yes, we know what the Turtles are. Get started. Here we go.
And I'm going to own up to it. When the designs were first announced or first revealed, I was not a fan. I didn't like the idea of Raphael being the leader now, or that Leo was going to be the prankster, jokester for the lulz character.
Okay, yeah, I was like, their archetypes were a little out of sorts for me.
A little bit. And the designs were so out there compared to some of the stuff that had come before. But,
yeah.
I figured, so what? I grew up on original Turtles. I'm approaching 40 years old. It's not for me anymore. If I had kids, it would be for them, So give it a chance. See if it's good for the little ones, and if I get any enjoyment out of it, bonus. But no, this is great. Like, I was wrong. I judged the book by its cover, and it slapped me in the face and said, guess what? You like me now. And I'm like, yes, I do.
I liked it. It's definitely solid. I do have some, maybe it's just because I only watched the first episode, but I do still have a few kind of reservations, I guess. Not like where I'm like, oh, okay, I don't, I definitely don't hate it. I definitely found it very enjoyable. It was obviously it's very funny. It's yes. It definitely strikes more of a lighthearted tone than the 2012 3D animated cartoon, which we have talked about pretty extensively on this show before. I kind of like the more serious tone more, but this is still a lot of fun, so I'm not opposed to it. It just seems, are the episodes really, is there like an overall arc to it, or is it kind of like Sonic Boom, where in that there's single episodes that just kind of have some silly stuff going on, and then it gets sort of reset at the end, and everything goes back to the status quo and whatever?
So far, it's been very Sonic Boom. Like, each episode is self-contained and doesn't really build off of each other. There's a villainous character introduced in one episode who is the hated eternal rival to the Turtles, and they introduce him and his backstory all within the first 5 minutes.
Okay.
And that becomes the running gag of the episode.
Okay.
I think a large part of this has to do because Rob Paulsen is the voice director for this.
I saw that actually in the credits, and I'm like, wait a minute, Rob Paulsen's involved in this, but he's not a voice? Okay. Okay, that's
he's a graduated.
Yeah.
If you don't know who the esteemed Rob Paulsen is, you probably know him best as Pinky from Pinky and the Brain, or Yakko from Animaniacs.
Or Raphael from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or Donatello from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
He's been in a million things. He was Antoine in Sat AM.
He's been in Honda car commercials. He's literally everywhere.
He is a wonderful individual, incredibly talented, and I'm so glad that he is directing this, because you can tell the comedic timing, the delivery of the lines are the way he would do it.
It's very simple. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Everything is so tight. It's so much fun.
Yes, the comedic timing is very on point. It's very snappy.
And going back to what you said earlier, I like that this is kind of just saying, you know what? Everybody already knows the premise of the Turtles. They know the premise that April is the one human that hangs out with the Turtles. Everyone knows that there are mutants that have fantastic pun names. Run with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to set up everything. We already know. Let's just get down to the colorful anthropomorphic critters kicking the crap out of each other and have a good time. And there's something refreshing about that.
Yeah.
Which isn't to knock the 2012 series at all, because it had some really fantastic story beats, but it also had some really, really shoddy plotting and progression between seasons. So,
yes, it did. It did. I do love April in this new incarnation.
Oh, she's fun.
She is.
Oh, she's fun.
She's so hilarious. The fact that she's hyper competent way over the Turtles is just like, oh, perfect. Yes, that's hilarious.
You will definitely enjoy one of the upcoming episodes then. It involves April, the Turtles, a pizza parlor, and more than a heavy nod to Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, jeez. Oh, boy. It's pretty... It's silly good fun. It
is.
This type of kids cartoon seems to be fairly popular lately. It seems like I feel like this is along the same vein of like Teen Titans Go and stuff like that, where it's just silly fun. It doesn't take itself seriously. There's plenty there. There's definitely a lot to keep the kids entertained. It's kind of frenetic. It's energetic. But there's also a lot of good stuff to keep the adults like really stuck to it. There's a lot of funny references and funny gags that I think only adults will kind of get.
I'm wondering if they're playing the long con, though, because this is Rise of the Ninja Turtles. This is them starting out very young. A future episode makes it clear that Splinter isn't training them specifically for anything, if he's training them at all.
It doesn't... The way I saw Splinter was like he was like the neglectful grandfather. We'll
get back to that in a minute.
Whoa, yeah. The portrayal of Splinter is kind of one of the things I don't necessarily care for, but that's only
Let's
in the
get
first
back to that
episode,
just a second.
So, okay.
But the fact that he had the magical doodad that got them where they needed to be in the first episode makes me wonder if they're going to build towards something eventually.
Right.
Because the way that it's structured now, I can see it being very episodic, and then they hit you with the surprise cliffhanger at the end of the season, and you're like, oh, wow, now I'm really invested. Season 2 starts, you get some movement, and then it goes silly again, and then, we eventually go somewhere. Like the original cartoon, where it was just like gag stuff left, right, and center, and then all of a sudden they're on like the death march to the Technodrome and dropping it into the Earth's core, and it's like, whoa, what?
Yeah, I don't know. It would be kind of interesting if they pulled that, but I don't know how well it would work. This is definitely more of a comedic take, so if they decided to try and make it more story-driven, I guess that could be neat. I'd be interested in seeing that.
Kind of like the way that Sonic Boom had the dramatic season finale where you had a Sonic and Metal Sonic showdown or a Sonic and Shadow showdown. Something that's got a little more meat to the bones than just the usual gag. I don't mean like go what the 2012 series did and have big multi-season crossovers. They did no. Yeah. Keep with what they're doing. This is fine. But I wonder if they're going to add a little extra pinch down the line.
Yeah. Are the episodes variable length? Because I noticed like the first episode is a full 30-minute episode, and then there's the next one's like only 15 minutes or something. Yeah,
I'm not quite sure how it's all divvied up, but it looks like they do have some odd episode lengths, which I guess some are meant as like buffers between shows,
or like
just to plug in blocks,
like or two-parters or something weird. It's an interesting idea. I haven't seen that before for cartoons or anything. So that could be interesting if they're going to have like a variable time where it's like some stories are the full 30 minutes and some are only 15 minutes. And sometimes maybe we'll show 2 of them together and other times maybe only just see 1 episode. So.
Plus, it's Ninja Turtles. It's a strong enough franchise. They can experiment a little bit.
Right. It definitely does feel experimental. I mean, just looking at it and looking at the designs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They're definitely experimenting and having some fun with it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of it as it keeps going.
Raphael as the kind of de facto leader, I'm okay with. Because it's not like he's actually issuing orders. It's more like he's the one who just doesn't think. It says, okay, you do that, you do that, you do that. I'm going to do this over here. That's not really leadership so much as he's the first one to yell out things and the others just go with it. So yeah, that works with Raph. I roll with that. All right, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
The way they described Leo as being the prankster and the funny one, I was cringing at, but he's not. He's just kind of... He's got a personality now, and that's really kind of fun. So, cool. Let's roll with that.
Yeah, I'm still trying to... watching the first episode, I was really trying to figure out what sort of character... How the other 3 were differentiated. Raphael's pretty clear. But the other 3 are kind of similar. Even to my ear, Donatello and Leo sound almost identical. I don't know if you noticed that.
Maybe
or
if
that's something that bothers you. Maybe it gets better later on. But
Leo, I think, is definitely more... kind of a trickster in the group, whereas Donnie gets very clearly dry humor as it goes on. I think it's pretty clear in their first one, but as you go on, you'll see that Donnie is, very low-key, sarcastic, and blunt humor, whereas Leo is much more in your face about it.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean just like vocal wise, like the sound of their voices are very similar too. I was like, wow, that's really weird. Are they voiced by the same person? I had to double check and be like, no, they are in fact different people. They just sound very similar. So I just didn't know if that was something that was also something you noticed that bothered you.
I did not personally.
Okay. Because I was like, this is really strange. I'm still... What is... If you got the prankster, trickster, and Leo, then what is... I guess... What is Mikey's kind of role? He's still kind of...
Mikey's the artist this time around. He's kind of the baby of the group, and... Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's the most defined yet, but I do like the fact that he's not the idiot brother this time.
Yeah, I guess that kind of separates him from previous incarnations.
Because he was supposed to be the party dude. He was, in the IDW comic, he's the most empathetic and sweet-natured. In 2012, he was the goofy, he was the funny one. But each and every incarnation, to some degree or another, kind of veers towards the Mikey's the dumb one. Yeah. And it gets a little tiresome. This time around, it doesn't seem like that. It seems like they're all equally stupid.
Well, yeah, they are all pretty dumb. And while April...
in a charming, endearing sort of way.
Yeah, while April is the hyper-competent smart one.
Sure.
Yeah. But, I don't know, Raph just seems like the big meathead, which I could see them subverting, obviously, like they've kind of done with Knuckles a bit on Sonic Boom. I kind of... When I was watching it, I was like, he's kind of like Knuckles on Sonic Boom. They're probably going to subvert it where he'll be like... There'll be something, or at some point he'll be articulate and intelligent about something, where just as a gag, obviously, but still,
you'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure that comes up at some point. So I'm gonna keep watching it, though. I do like it. I do quite enjoy it, and I'm also glad it's really short in the episodes. Not for any reason other than, you know, I can just kind of knock them out real quick, get a couple laughs, and have some fun, and be like, all right, cool. I've had my TMNT fill. I'm on my way. I like that. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Splinter.
And, you know, the show has won me over with so many good graces. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt to see where they're going with it. But I'm not digging the Splinter so far.
No. Just in the first episode, I was like, well, this incarnation of Splinter is not... what's wrong with this?
I mean, it's different. It's not the sagely, kindly, benevolent father figure that he's always been. So, you know, go off the beaten path, sure. But, you know, the first 80 Splinter was kind of the wise kung fu master trope. Gets in a couple of one-liners, but is otherwise kind of off to the side.
Yeah.
Was it 2005? 2002? When did the second cartoon series come out?
2003.
2003. Jeez, oh Pete.
And I never saw that.
He was older there.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of stuck with the trope. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I feel like he wasn't quite as active as 80 Splinter. They went more for the older end of the angle. I wasn't fond of that. 2012 Splinter is my favorite Splinter, pretty much of any incarnation, tied with the first live-action movie.
Yes, I would agree with both of those.
I mean, his design was fantastic. His voice acting was fantastic. He had the perfect balance of wise master and dad joke tier father figure. And then when he came out to actually kick ass, oh boy, he wiped the floor with everything, and it was fantastic.
Yes. It was pretty glorious whenever Splinter actually got to fight. It was great.
So having Splinter be this rotund, hamster-like, dismissive, borderline abusive figure.
Well, to be fair, 2012 Splinter was also very abusive, but he was in his own way.
It built character. This is
just him being... He's basically just kind of neglectful.
There's a future episode where he get the line in there that Splinter wouldn't say that. That's not something Splinter should ever say. And I'm wondering if this is part of the long con and I'm just being duped, but I don't know. That's the one thing that I'm not wild about. But all that being said, the show won me over, hand over fist, caught me by surprise. I really enjoy it. Can't wait for the next episode. This is not endorsed by Nickelodeon or anybody. So if you were on the fence about it because it looked like such a wild departure from the series, I say definitely give it a shot because I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, definitely. As I'm always interested in like different incarnations and different takes on characters that I've loved. So I think it's a successful look at them. So I'm definitely on board for this and going to keep on going through the rest of the episode. So thank you for pointing it out to me, Ian. I probably would have never even known it was happening if you hadn't told me. I'd have been like, what are you talking about? When I thought they ended the cartoon, didn't they just end it? And it's like, well, now there's a new one. It's like, oh, okay, I will watch this now. And it's very good.
But now I have a question for you, Kyle.
What's that? We do have a lot of questions for you.
That's what it was going to be. Do you want to do some Q&A?
I will do some Q&A with you, and you can answer these questions. These questions 6 you will answer, or at least try to answer in an adequate fashion, maybe.
Your mileage may vary.
It depends on whether you can answer them or not. And I'm not doubting your abilities as a question answerer. I'm merely just saying you may not be able to answer all of them. We'll find out. Let's find out together, shall we?
Let's.
All right. Don't forget, you can email us, BumbleKast@yahoo.com. Hit us up on Twitter @BumbleKast or using the hashtag BumbleKast. Down in the YouTube comments below if you're watching this on YouTube or on Patreon via comments or messages there, regardless of what tier you're in. But if you are in the $5 or above tier, you do get super special Patreon priority to your questions. So you will be answered as soon as humanly possible in the next episode from when you asked your question.
Also, new feature, head over to BumbleKing.com and look under the FAQ section. There is now a Sonic the Hedgehog FAQ. If you have a Sonic question, please look there first. I put this FAQ together and it pretty much knocked out like 40% of the backlog that we have, at least. So,
yes,
if you have a Sonic question, look there first. You're probably going to find your answer there. If not, come on back. We'll be happy to see you. But save yourself some time. Look at the FAQ. That's BumbleKing.com under the news and information section.
Yes, go check out the FAQ. Go get FAQ at BumbleKing.com. All right, Patreon priority Q&A. First question comes from our Raffle Winner, actually, DragonSuperFan. Dear BumbleKast, which are your favorite comic books from the Bronze Age, and have they influenced you in any way? I had to actually look up even when the Bronze Age exactly was, but to be honest,
I
am very much out of the loop on most comics from anything before the 90s, to be honest with you. So
the Bronze Age was a little before my time.
Right, yeah. And I'm just like, I have some knowledge of what comics have gone through, but the Bronze Age is a big blind spot for me for the most part, which is unfortunate.
I mean, I know of a lot of the big events and things that happened during that period and how they influenced the books I grew up reading, but I never read them directly, so it's hard to say that they had a direct influence on me because I was only getting their influence secondhand or in hindsight, you know?
Yeah, and this was run up to the Crisis on Infinite Earths, right?
Around that period, yeah, I think.
Yeah, and when did Secret Wars happen? The first one?
I think it was during that period or towards the tail end of it.
Yeah, I think...
I want to say Secret Wars kind of capped off of a lot of the new ideas, like the new X-Men and the resurgence of other properties. So
yeah, Secret Wars was at the very end. It says 84 to 85, and the Bronze Age is around 85. And I know Secret Wars was also then. So I guess, because I actually have I have read Secret Wars, just the basic main stories. I haven't read any of the spin-offs. I guess that would be mine just by default. That would be the only thing I could say I've read from the Secret Wars, or from the Bronze Age. How it influenced me, and it really hasn't. And maybe it's a little too late in my life. I don't know. It's definitely interesting. It's definitely, you get to see the origins of some things that go on to define Marvel Comics during the 90s. So that's interesting. Like Black Suit Spider-Man, kind of as a prototype of the of symbiotes and Venom and all that stuff. So what that will eventually become.
The foundation that has been retread over and over ever since.
Yeah, it's well worn at this point, but you know, it's interesting to see where it started. Next question comes from ScruffyMatt. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Scruffy.
It's well known that you heavily research existing properties you're hired to write on, immersing yourself deep in their lore and reading and watching as much of the previous incarnations as you can. For franchises that you may not have been overly familiar with in the past, such as Mega Man or New Crusaders, I imagine there was a lot you learned that you hadn't been aware of. But I was wondering if you've ever been surprised by learning something you hadn't known whilst researching the Sonic franchise, and if so, what?
This is a tricky one because I've always been a big Sonic nerd, so it doesn't really feel like research so much as new trivia comes to light, I file it away.
Sure.
It's not really, something that I have to go and make a dedicated search for. Now, when I reference a game that I haven't touched in a while, I'll usually go back and look at the cutscenes again, or look up some write-up on it to see what detail I may have missed. And there's occasionally things here or there that I'm like, oh, I had forgotten that, or how did I miss that? But it's like minutia stuff. Stuff that even like some of the more hardcore fans would go, wait, that's real? I'm talking like trivia bits that get dropped in the dialogue on Shadow the Hedgehog's hard mode run through. That kind of nonsense.
Okay, yeah.
Like, did you know that the gun commander has a granddaughter named Maria?
A daughter named what?
Granddaughter named Maria.
Well, fascinating. I never thought there would be any sort of Maria in any Sonic game.
You only hear that if you're playing through the hard mode of Shadow the Hedgehog, which is every level back to back. Yeah. Remixed to be more difficult, and it's just some of the radio chatter that happens in the background.
Huh. Wouldn't that be... Is it supposed to be a different Maria than normal? I'm just wondering... I don't know the significance of this. That's what I'm kind of getting at. It was like,
because the commander was a childhood friend of Maria's. She got shot. It traumatized him. He hated Shadow because of it. Okay. He got over his angst, and we find out that in memory of her, he had a granddaughter.
Okay. I understand.
That kind of tiny, tiny stuff. Or like the recently brought to light that Bean is not a duck. Despite being sired by a duck, he is actually a woodpecker.
He is a dynamite.
Yes, that's probably the best way to approach it.
He is a dynamite from Dynamite Ducks. The game
Fang is supposed to be Gerbo, or all this like the.
It's Knack. Let's not mince words here. It's Knack. Anyway, go ahead.
It's Fang. Fang is better.
Go Fang yourself.
Or the reoccurring bird character that was like never used but keeps popping up in early design art here and there. It's so just little bits of trivia here and there, but it's when I find it out, it's usually when the rest of the fandom finds it out. So
like Sega Sonic Bros.
Yeah, that looks like it would be really freaking complicated really fast, and I'm already bad at puzzle games.
Yeah, yeah, it's very weird and a very strange name.
Yeah,
for a game. I understand that they're kind of maybe playing off Super Mario Brothers a little bit with that, but still very odd.
And I find myself torn between wanting them to finally finish it and putting it out with Mighty and Ray as the red and yellow character, or Knuckles and Tails, or sticking with the red and yellow hedgehog and just going whole hog with the nonsense and just putting in more Sonic characters.
Whole hog.
Sonic characters.
We need palette swap hedgehogs everywhere. We need all of them all the time, Ian. We need Ashura. We need I don't know. What's the other ones? Are there other
cherry
ones?
Flavored. This one's lemon flavored. Almost said yellow flavored.
Well, don't eat the yellow hedgehog. You don't know where he's been. You don't want to know where he's been. Don't eat the yellow hedgehog. It's bad for you. Maybe don't eat the green one either. Oh, we have brown Sonic? I almost forgot about that one. We had brown Sonic. Yep. Yes. He wasn't brown forever, but he turned blue eventually. But he was brown, which is weird, but hey. You Brits, you do what you do. Have fun over there. I'll just be over here with my not brown Sonic. Are we ready for the next question?
Let's move on to the standard Q&A.
All right, standard Q&A from the other folks out there, from the Twitters and the YouTubes and all the other places. This first one comes from Justin C. It's a very long question. I guess I'll just go ahead and read the whole thing. It's 3 paragraphs, but that's okay. I recently started working on a project that involves drawing 48 Sonic characters on note cards, and when I'm done, I'm going to make a collage of all of them and redraw them digitally. I was planning on sending this collage in with the hopes of it maybe being printed in the fan art section of a future issue of the IDW Sonic series. In the list I made of characters I plan to draw, I included characters such as Black Doom, Eggman Nega, and Shade the Echidna. I'm only using characters that originate from the games, not from any TV shows or earlier comic series, but from things I've read on the Sonic Wiki. I learned that for legal reasons, toward the end of Archie publication, these characters became off-limits for use in any Sonic material. I'm not sure if these limitations apply to current Sonic material, if that was strictly limited to the Archie comics. So my question is it okay for me to include fan art of these characters if I intended to have it printed? If not, I'll simply not include them in my collage and replace them with other characters from the games.
There's a fair bit of misinformation in there, so let's peel it apart and clarify some things. First off, ladies and gentlemen, Justin here is only doing game characters, and his list is 48. When I said on Twitter that we probably wouldn't get to Mighty and Ray within year 1, whether or not we could even use them, this is why! The modern cast is enormous.
This is one of the that is one of the criticisms that's often levied at the series, is that there's an absolutely enormous cast of silly, funny woodland animals.
So, Justin, hats off to you for your dedication to all the art you're doing. That is incredible. Good luck to you, sir.
Yes.
All right. So, number 1, back in the old run of the books, certain characters were not on the table for us just because Sega didn't want us to touch them for whatever reason. I don't always know why that reason was. I don't really get to ask. It's just, can I use this? No. Okay, move on. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
The only one that ran into any potential legal issues would be Shade, and that was because of the lawsuit between Archie Comics and a former writer over a lot of Echidna-related stuff, and she was just kind of caught in the crossfire. It's really messy. It's really ugly. Don't want to get into it again. But the usage of the characters by the staff of the comics should not reflect what you can submit for fan art. Now, I don't put together the fan art section. I am not an employee of IDW. I am not in their offices, so I don't know what their criteria is. But I sincerely doubt that they have to run the fan art section by Sega to see what is legally approved by the marketing directors to see what is... You do you, man. I'm pretty sure the fan art is put in whatever you want. Within reason. I mean, if you do something like a horrible, gory murder fest picture, it probably won't be printed. It's a kid's book. But, I sincerely doubt that specific game characters are going to undercut whatever you put in the fan art section. You should be in the clear. Draw whatever you want, send it in, and best of luck to you.
Yeah.
If it doesn't appear in the book, it's because there is mountains coming in every day. Like, before the book even launched, there was enough fan art of Tangle, who had not appeared yet, to have filled a book by itself. We could have done 20 pages of nothing but Tangle fan art before she even appeared. That's the uphill battle you're facing. Not legal, not marketing, none of that. You're just surrounded by tons of creative and passionate fans. So that's a good company to be in.
Yes.
It's just... it's an endurance race.
Now I want a Tangle fan art book. like just a hardbound Tangle a lemur. Here you go. All the fan art fit to print.
So, Justin, you put that collage together, you make it the best you can, and you send it in, and hopefully it gets printed. That's all you got to worry about.
Yeah. If they originated from the games, you're probably in the clear. So, I think you're good. Give it a shot. Best of luck. Next one comes from the Swordsman 100. In an alternate world where the Twitter campaign is successful and you are an official writer for the Sonic games, Sonic Team wants you to fully flesh out the setting and continuity. Nothing is off the table for you to decide or retcon. So, for instance, you want Sonic's world to be just Earth instead of the two worlds. It'd be done. What would be your ideal Sonic game continuity?
Oh, this feels like a loaded question.
I don't even know. Can you get into much detail on this? Would you be giving away too much in case something changes in the future for you?
Well, this is a pie in the sky scenario anyway, because there's no way on Mobius's Green Hill that I would be given full reign to say, okay, here is the new status quo for the game.
That wouldn't even let
never going to happen.
That wouldn't even let you say Mobius. Come on.
I mean, if I get to write a game, fingers and toes crossed, it will be at the discretion of Sega and whatever that game is. They're not going to let me just take over that.
Ian, that's a free reign.
I got all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Now I am a god.
It would just be Sonic Mania forever, and I would be perfectly fine with that. Please put out as sequel after sequel to Sonic Mania forever and ever.
So in the fantasy scenario where I get to do whatever I want, I'd like a game that was at its core pretty straightforward.
Yes.
You focus on Sonic and his gameplay. The primary buddy characters, Tails, Amy, Knuckles, all them are prominent in support roles, both in gameplay mechanic and story-wise. Your extended cast gets lip service somewhere as bonus missions, optional play, what have you. And then as unlockable content, getting all the red rings, finding all the notebooks, whatever, you get backstory that fills in the gaps of all that has come before. So I get to stitch together the full continuity of all the lore that has come to be. It ain't going to be 100% matching because not everything fits, but that's okay because in this fantasy scenario, I'm setting the standard. And then you also have Sonic Mania 2, or whatever you want to call it, and we just keep cranking those out, like you said, because that would be magical and wonderful, and please, 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 gimme. Yes. And, I mean, I don't have anything specific in mind, just something, I don't know, kind of along the lines of what we're doing with the comics, something fun and adventurous that, doesn't take itself too seriously, but doesn't play itself for the cheap gag either.
Yeah. I'm down. Sega, do it. You should do it. I mean, it would be in your best interest, probably. It's a good idea. Use that hashtag, people. Next one comes from Tangle the Lemur Latius. Speaking of Tangle. Any chance that any of your characters you created for Archie, Sonic, such as Conquering Storm, Relic the Pika, Razor the Shark, and Sonar the Fennec, can come back in IDW Sonic?
Chance? Maybe? Slim? Infinitesimal? Glimmer of light in the dark? Maybe? Is it likely? Probably never know. Because of reasons that I just really can't get into.
Yeah, and it's a shame because you really put in a lot of work to for those characters. I had some insight, and there was definitely a lot of work put into that. The new continuity that just kind of got wiped away.
And every rare once in a while, crazy idea of they don't serve any purpose sitting in limbo. Sega's not going to want them. Could I get them back? Could I use them as something else? Set up their own universe. It wouldn't be that difficult to transplant a lot of them and do something new. And it's like, well, how much money would that take? Who would you even talk to about that? And when you get down to it, they're not all 100% mine, because while I conceptualized most of them, the design work was done by a lot of other people. So they need to get their fair cut or rights to it as well. And that starts to get really messy really fast. It's like, it's really not worth it. It's really not worth it. It sucks. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
But, that's the nature of the business. That is creative work for profit. It's sometimes things die on the vine, even if they were promising it. So it goes.
And it gives me kind of flashbacks to the previous writer, who is also wanting their other characters back, and it just kind of makes me think of that. Like, that situation would be like, all right, now you got him back, now what are you going to do with him? And it's like, well, we'll watch, because it'll happen eventually, I swear. And it's like, well, here we are.
See, that's what drives me crazy.
It's very tough. It's very tough.
I can see how I could put it together. Not that I've got this fleshed out anymore, but I could see how I could take the unused stuff and make it stand on its own. Do something new with it. Have it recognizable, but create its own universe with it. And it's like,
I think you absolutely could. I think it's definitely possible.
But I know I don't have the funds for it. And I legit don't think there's enough of an interest in those characters to warrant the amount of money and time and legal headache that would go into even looking into them.
Yeah.
I mean, they have their fans, sure, and you are all lovely people. Thank you so much. I know me and Leah and everyone who contributed to them are very happy that they are resonating even after the fact, but I don't know. If somebody wants to do some like crazy charity drive for let's drum up money to rescue this arc's worth of characters, then maybe I'd look at it seriously. But I don't think there's enough people that would really want that. So
they are niche.
Remember the good times.
Yeah,
write your fanfic, draw your fan art, let them live on in yours.
They are kind of niche characters, and this is also, you could say that of the previous writers' stuff as well. They're very niche characters. Their appeal is kind of limited. If maybe you had a larger marketing budget, you might be able to pull it off, but it's tough. So, I love these. I love all the characters you listed. I really would love to see them again, but I don't know if that's going to happen, sadly. I don't foresee it happening, which is a shame. It's a shame. And finally, last question comes from Andrew D. It seems we're both under the impression the events of Generation split the timeline, resulting in Classic Sonic being in a new timeline. But does that mean Silver keeps splitting the timeline with every interaction he has in the past?
I don't know. This is assuming Silver's time travel makes any sense. I have seen fan theories trying to make the pieces fit. And even going into the old Sonic runners and using the different variable Silvers to show different incarnations of the character because of the time split. And it's like, you are really trying hard, and I applaud your effort, but that I know that that's not right because I know things. And it's... if you want to spin that as your own headcanon, have fun with it. But I don't think that's how it's working. I mean, the whole time split at Generations isn't official either. It just seems like the most common sense approach, but that may not be how it is. So just kind of go with the flow, I guess.
That's really all you can do. Otherwise, you really start getting screwed up in your head. Like, this doesn't make any dang sense at all.
I fall back on the wise words of Aaron Weber. It's everything is canon. Just embrace it all. Don't question it. And roll with it.
I fall back on the wise words of a small puppet show in Minnesota in their intro theme song. It's just a show. You should really just relax. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. If you try to split the timeline every time Silver does anything, it's like, well, have fun with that, because you're going to have infinite timelines forever.
Plus, we don't really know how he time traveled aside from he did it in 06, so unless he's grabbing two Chaos Emeralds every single time and playing happy hockey with the timeline that way,
he doesn't even use a DeLorean to time travel. So what is even the point?
It's sad. It's a silver car. He's a silver hedgehog.
He should be able to do it. It's like, how can you even... You can't time travel without a DeLorean. He's not even really time traveling. He just makes it up. He doesn't time travel. He just pretends.
He's just hiding behind a tree every time. Ha ha! I come back from the past. Future. I'm cold. Can somebody light a fire?
That's what it is. He's not time traveling. He's faking it. It's pretty clear. It's pretty obvious. He's just like, I'm from the future. It's like people who claim to be from the future when clearly they're just crazy. Or just silly. They're not from the future. They don't have a DeLorean. Now, if you have a DeLorean, then you're like, okay, maybe you're onto something. But if they don't...
It's got the flux capacitor.
If they don't, then... I don't know. There's a lot of DeLoreans with flux capacitors, Ian. This is a very common car. It's a very common mod for that car.
All right, then Mr. Fusion.
They do that. That's pretty common too. Although less common to do it to the... It's less common to modify the outside than it is the inside.
I see.
So, but yeah, there's definitely some people who just slap like a flux capacitor on there as a joke. Or, people always ask. It's always the number one question DeLorean owners get. Does that thing got a flux capacitor? And they just kind of roll their eyes and are like, yeah, whatever. It's one of you guys again.
No, that's when you scream, it's the Libyans! And you just drive off as fast as you can.
That's a Back to the Future car. And it's not even a DeLorean. That happens a lot, too. It's like people will come up to cars that are pretty clearly not the Back to the Future car and say, that's a Back to the Future car, isn't it? And some people will just be like, yep, it totally is.
Yes, man. The last time I was out here,
it's like they'll come up.
First time we've met.
They'll come up to an '80s Nissan 240 SX, which admittedly does look kind of like a DeLorean. It's not. It's clearly not if you kind of pay attention. But if you're just out and about, just hanging out, and you're kind of you haven't watched Back to the Future in a while, or maybe you just have a really bad memory. And you just see one, and you're like, hey, that's a Back to the Future car, isn't it? And it's like, no, not really, but sure, why not? Let's roll with it. Anyway, why am I talking about this, Ian?
Because you love DeLoreans.
This is not important. I know. I love DeLoreans. They're bad cars, but I love them. Let's go with that. Anyway, let's close this up, because that was the last question.
It was. So we are going to move on to a shout out to all the wonderful patrons who make this show possible. Big thank you to Daniel H., Eric F., Alex P., DragonSuperFan, Brando, Fatoler, Chris A., John B., Sam Cybercat, Mike B., Samuel P., Jennifer R., David C., Reverend Light, Lisa M., Aluzon New Alois Noch. I butchered that. I'm so sorry. AE Double, Brody M, Neil H, Damo, Justin G, Justin S, Dan MS, Adam T, Silly String, Takaro, Michael A.Q, Lee H.K, Chevelle, Don B, Sin Fritz, Taco L, Gato Comics, John M, S. Javarovich 9X, James K, Tick Tick, Papadopoulos, Overthinking Films, Adam BT, and Ron.
And ScruffyMatt, I will say again, because Discord decided ScruffyMatt didn't need to be audible.
But, come on now. But Discord, ScruffyMatt's a regular. Stop it.
ScruffyMatt is our friend. ScruffyMatt is a good man. How dare Discord not besmirch his name? Unbesmirch his name. I don't know. Is that a thing? Like
you're saying that Discord is causing discord.
Discord. Well, yes, it does do that. I don't know why it's called Discord. It's a very odd name. Discord has a very negative connotation. Why is it called Discordian? I don't understand this. Help me understand.
The reason why Deviant Art decided to call themselves Deviants. It's
I
think that one all the way through, I guess.
Well, I mean, depending on what you're looking for, the name is
Kyle, where can they find you when the show is over?
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying the name fits. Anyway, you can find me at KyleJCRB on Twitter. Or over at kngi.org, where you can find archived episodes of the BumbleKast in MP3 downloadable format for your listening and streaming pleasure. You can listen to all the episodes there. Every episode we've ever done, you can download it and keep it for yourself. Share it with your friends. Put it on download sites, even though it's kind of pointless to do that because they're already downloadable there for you. You don't have to make them downloadable again somewhere else. Anyway. And also you can find my other show, Nitro Game Injection, which streams live on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, where I play awesome video game music and video game music remixes that will delight and enchant your ears. And maybe other bodily parts as well. But I don't know, that's up to you.
And you can find me on BumbleKing.com, over on Twitter at IanFlynnBKC.
And don't forget to go check out the FAQ!
Yes, please. Please. And then you can check out the show on Twitter at BumbleKast.
Or email.
Yeah, email.
BumbleKast@yahoo.com. Yes.
Perfect sync.
Yahoo.com still works. It's still around. So you should go email us there. Well, you don't have to use Yahoo to email us. You can use anything you want. But anyway.
Not carrier pigeon, though. That doesn't work too well with email.
No. But if you do want to send us carrier pigeon, one of us might receive it. I don't know.
It's entirely possible, although it might bake in mid-flight going over through Phoenix.
Nah, the pigeons around here are pretty hardy. Except they're dumb enough to stand in the middle of the road while you drive by and kind of get ran over. You
can join us every weekend, patrons, for live streams exclusively for you. And as I'm slowly but surely getting the streaming rig set up on my end, you'll be seeing more streaming at twitch.tv/BumbleKastGaming.
And don't forget to check out the Bumble store at shop.spreadshirt.com and get some Bumble gear for your Bumble bodies so you can bumble around everywhere. And tell your friends about the BumbleKast, because you'll have it on your shirt and they'll be like, what the heck is a BumbleKast? And you can tell them, you can espouse the glory that is BumbleKast. I
like that. I'm not gonna add to that. That's perfect.
Which we recommend you,
the glory that is BumbleKast.
Which we recommend you do to all your friends and family and enemies. It doesn't matter. Tell everybody. Scream it from the rooftops. Speaking of screaming from the rooftops, Ian, do we have anything else before we go?
That's going to be it. We'll see you in 2 weeks for BumbleKast episode 75. A big milestone episode where we're going to be doing something special. And if you've seen our other milestone episodes, you probably already know what it's going to be. But still, it's fun.
Yes. We're finally doing it, Ian. We're finally going to be
recording, and we're all good.
Yes. Things are happening. I haven't been asleep. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't take a nap for 45 minutes before the show. I don't know. What do you mean? I've been here the whole time. Hey, thanks for listening to the BumbleKast. If you like the show, be sure to hit that subscribe button and consider supporting us on Patreon. We have some great rewards as well as big plans to make the show even better. Also, rate and review the show on iTunes. It gets more folks listening and really helps us out, so we definitely appreciate it. Original music by Ken Coda Snyder, used with permission. Find more of his music at bc.s3m.us and find the theme song at noisechanradio.bandcamp.com. Available as a pay-what-you-want download. The bars are jumping. You're kind of quiet.
Do I need to get closer to the mic, or do I need to turn something up on my
Move your face. Move your face, Ian. Perfect.